Welcome back, everybody. We are continuing our factoring journey. Today we're going to factor quadratics when our first term, or a, is equal to 1. So let's talk about what we've learned before about multiplying binomials together. Remember, you can FOIL, distribute, put it in the boxes, table, however you want to. But we would do x times x is x squared. X times 5 is positive 5x. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times 5 is 15. Our like terms are 5x and 3x. 5 plus 3 is 8, so we have 8x. And our answer in standard form, in simplest as we can possibly make it, is going to be x squared plus 8x plus 15. Factoring, we're going exactly backwards from that. Factoring, we're taking something like x squared minus x minus 6 and asking, what did we start with? What did we multiply together to get x squared minus x minus 6? And so this is factoring quadratics. We are trying to find the factor pairs of C that add to B. And so if I have this quadratic here, x squared plus 7x plus 12, our A is 1, our B is 7, and our C is 12. The very first thing that we need to do that is super important that we've been practicing for a bit now is check for greatest common factor. Always our first step, never going to change. See if you have a greatest common factor. If you do, pull it out. Then we're going to multiply our A and our C together and find pairs that multiply to that answer of A times C, but add to B. Once we've done that, we're going to write that into a factor by grouping situation where you have 4 terms. So let's just dive right in and see what happens here. I am checking example A for a common factor. We have 1, 8, and 7. Well, there's no GCF there besides 1. They don't all three have an X. So we have no GCF here. So A times C, our A is 1, our C is 7. 1 times 7 is 7. We need 2 numbers that multiply to 7 but add to 8. So our factors of 7, the numbers that can multiply to 7, are only 1 times 7. That's our only choice. So 1 times 7 is 1 plus 7 equal to 8? Yes, it is. So we're going to bring down that x squared. This is a positive 1 plus 1 x. We're going to use whatever our b term variable is, 1x. Positive 7 plus 7x. And then we bring down that last plus 7. This middle, every single time we do this, should always add to this b term. 1x plus 7x is 8x. So that part is exactly great. From here, we now have 4 terms and we can do factor by grouping. Splitting this in half, just like we did our other factoring by grouping, we start with the greatest common factor on the left side. Our greatest common factor here is x. We have x on the outside, 2 x's. Take away this x to the first is x plus x divided by x is 1 plus our common factor here is 7. We have 7 as our common factor. 7 divided by 7 is 1x, plus 7 divided by 7 is 1. Our x plus 1s are exactly the same. X plus 1 is one of our factors. Our leftovers, going from left to right, are x plus 7. And so this is our factored form. This is what we started with, that when we multiplied it together by distributing, FOILing, table, or whatever, we got x squared plus 8x plus 7. Of course, there's always a check. And your check is to do exactly that. Multiply this back together and make sure it works. X times x is x squared. X times 7 is 7x. 1 times x is 1x. And 1 times 7 is 7. Our like terms, 7 plus 1 are 8x. And here it is. This and this match exactly. So we know that our answer is correct. Let's work on letter B. I'm again going to fill in my A term as 1, my leading coefficient. We have 1, 11, and 10. They have no greatest common factor besides 1, so I can't reduce that. X squared, x, and no variable. So we have, again, no GCF here. 1 times 10 is 10. So we need two numbers that multiply to positive 10, but add to negative 11. All right, our multiples of 10 are going to be 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Well, I know 1 and 10 can make 11. And if I make them both negative, negative 1 times negative 10 is positive 10. Negative 1 plus negative 10 is negative 11. So those are going to be the factors that I'm looking at. Question, does it matter if I start with the negative 1 or the negative 10? No, it does not. It does not matter which order you write those down. So I'm going to start again with the 1x squared. Let's put that negative 10 first. Negative 10x, and then negative 1x, and bring down that positive 10. Now that we have our 4 terms, remember we split this in half. Our common factor on this left side is x. We're pulling out x. X squared divided by x to the first is 1x, minus the x's reduce out and leave us with 10. Minus here, our starting point. Our common factor with 1x and 10 is 1. And remember, when we're factoring by grouping, we always have to pull something out. So we're pulling out that negative 1. Negative 1x divided by negative 1 is a positive x. Positive 10 divided by negative 1 is negative 10. X minus 10 matches, and that's our next common factor. The stuff we pulled out from left to right are x minus 1. This is our factored form. Letter C. We have a 1 and a 1. Checking for greatest common factors. 1, 1, and negative 90. Nope, no common factor there. X squared, x, and no x. There's no GCF here either. 1 times negative 90 is negative 90. We need two numbers that multiply to negative 90 and add to positive 1. Wow. Well, multiply to negative 90 means they need to be opposite signs. So negative 1 times 90, negative 2 times 45, negative 3 times 30. See, can we divide by 4? Nope. We can divide by 5, so negative 5 times 18. Can we divide by 6? Negative 6 times 15. Can't divide by 7. Can't divide by 8. We can divide by 9. Negative 9 times 10. There it is right there. Negative 9 times 10 is negative 90. Negative 9 plus 10 is 1. So those are going to be the factors that work for us. And remember, it doesn't matter the order that you write that. You can write the negative 9 first or the 10 first. Won't matter anyway. Now bring down that x squared. Minus 9x plus 10x. Bring down that negative 90. And then split this in half for our factor by grouping. Common factor on this left side. They both have x. So I'm pulling out x. That leaves us with x minus 9 plus common factor with 10x and 90 is 10. 10x divided by 10 is x. Negative 90 divided by 10 is 9. X minus 9 are my new common factor, the parentheses that match, and we pulled out x plus 10. Those are my factors, and that is factored form. Letter D. Letter D, we have 1 in front of our x squared for our A term. 1, 4, negative 12 don't have a common factor. X squared, x, and no x. So again, we have no GCF here. 1 times negative 12 is negative 12. The factors of negative 12 that add to positive 4. So to multiply to negative 12 and add to positive 4. Let's see, negative 12. We would have negative 1 and 12, negative 2 and 6, negative 3 and 4, negative 4 and 3, negative 6 and 2, negative 12 and 1. So those are all the different ways that we can multiply numbers together to get to negative 12. Which one of this set adds to positive 4? And that's going to be the negative 2 and 6. I'm going to bring down x squared minus 2x plus 6x minus 12. Split this in half. Our common factor on this left side is going to be x. X squared divided by x is x minus 2x divided by x. Our x's reduce out, and so that leaves us with 2 plus common factor between 6 and 12 are 6. 6x divided by 6 is x minus 12 divided by 6 is 2. X minus 2 is our new common factor, and x plus 6 was our leftovers. Letter E. We have a 1 in front of that x squared for our leading coefficient, or our A term. Common factors with 1, negative 10, and positive 9. 1, so that doesn't reduce any of our values. X squared, x, and no x. So we have no GCF. 1 times 9 is 9. The factors of 9, positive, that add to negative 10. We have positive 9. That's 1 times 9 and 3 times 3, negative 1 and negative 9, negative 3 and negative 3. Those are all the possible combinations that multiply to a positive 9. And negative 1 plus negative 9 will give us our negative 10. Bring down our x squared, minus 1x, minus 9x, plus 9. Split that in half. Our common factor between x squared and 1x is x. Pull out the x. X squared divided by x to the first is x, minus. Our x's reduce out, and we're left with negative 1. Start with minus. Our common factor between 9x and 9 are 9. Remember, it's negative. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1x. Positive 9 divided by negative 9 is negative 1. X minus 1 is our common factor, and we pulled out x minus 9. That is our factored form. You try examples 1 and 4. Pause the video, come back when you're done. Next part of the examples, we're talking about GCF still, but these ones will. You notice that in front of x squared, we have a number. And so we're going to see if that 5 is our GCF. It won't always work. Sometimes it will. Is 5 a factor of 10 and 20? It is. So our GCF in this case is going to be 5. We have x squared x and no x, so I can't pull out an x. If I pull out the 5, remember that means we're dividing by 5. 5x squared divided by 5 is x squared. 10x divided by 5 is 2x. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. All right, now we take a look inside the parentheses. Now this is a 1 in front of the x squared. 1 times 4 is 4. The factors of positive 4 that add to positive 2. So multiply to 4 and add to 2. Well, wait a minute. 1 times 4 is 4, but 1 plus 4 is 5. This is a 2. 2 times 2 is 4, but 2 plus 2 is 4. That means that this is not factorable further. So our final answer is going to be 5 times x squared plus 2x plus 4. I can't take that any further. Letter G. Checking for a common factor first, we have this 4 here. Can I divide the other two, 4 and negative 8, by 4? And we can. So our GCF here is 4, and then I have x squared, x, and no x. I can't pull out x's. So we're going to pull out 4, divide by 4. Remember, that goes on the outside. 4 divided by 4 is 1x squared. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1x. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. There's this 1 here. So 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. We're ignoring the GCF on the outside. Right now we're done with it. We'll come back to it in a little bit. This is a 1 here for our b term. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 2 and add to negative 1. Well, we have negative 1 times 2 or negative 2 times 1. Those are our numbers that will multiply to negative 2. And negative 2 times 1 is the pair that will add to the negative 1. So I have 1x squared minus 2x plus 1x minus 2. We split this in half. Our common factor over here on the left side is x. X squared over x to the first is x, and then minus. The x's reduce out for 2. The next part is plus. Our common factor with 1x and 2 is 1. Remember, when we're factoring by grouping, we do have to pull something out, and we have to pull out a 1. 1x divided by 1 is 1x, minus 2 divided by 1 is 2. X minus 2 is our new common factor. We pulled out x plus 1, so that's our other factor. And then we did have a GCF, so that has to come down as well to make our final answer. Remember, our final answers, we should be able to multiply that stuff all back together to get what we started with, because that's our goal. The question is, how did we get there? Well, 4 times x minus 2 times x plus 1 is how we got there. Letter H. 2, 2, and 4, well, they have a common factor of 2. X squared x and no x, there's no x there. So if I pull out my overall common factor of 2, we have x squared, 1x squared, plus 1x minus 2. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. So we need the numbers that multiply to negative 2 and add to positive 1. Well, we just did this over here, and that's going to be this first pair of negative 1 and positive 2. Remember, we ignore the GCF that we pulled out until the very end. So I have x squared minus 1x plus 2x minus 2. Splitting that in half, our common factor on this left side is x. X squared over x is x, minus our x is reduced out, and we're left with 1, plus our common factor on the right side is 2. 2x divided by 2 is 1x, minus 2 divided by 2 is 1. X minus 1 is our new common factor. Our leftovers are x plus 2. And then bring back that common factor we reduced by in the beginning. And there is our final answer. You try number 6, and I will see you next class. Thank you for joining me.